Hi everybody, how's it going? What I was seeing in the cards so far is that it looks like you're moving into a time where you're going to have to be flexible and you can also be reworking your priorities. So if there were things that were on your plate before that you weren't really moving around so much and it was more of a routine, something about that can be changing. So there can be maybe stuff being taken off your plate or maybe stuff being added on, maybe a mix of both of those things. And then it feels like when you have a list of priorities and nothing is really changing, it's like always those same things that are sort of at the top of the list. Now that there's a shift that's going on, you may have to sort of go through that list again and make sure that everything is sort of where it needs to be. It seems like this is going to allow things to move along as best as possible. We are starting off first with Three of Pentacles. And the Ace of Cups. All right. Having Three of Pentacles, this can be a learning arena. There can be something that's being worked on. There can be support that's happening within the environment. It can be something where they're supporting one another. Three of Pentacles speaks about cooperation. It also speaks about collaboration. Ace of Cups being there shows that this is more than just something that's being done. There's an element of care, there's an element of connection that's involved in this. And this can also be too that you are working with someone in a new way. Ace of Cups can be like on a new thing. So this can be a new collaboration. You can be connecting with new people. There can be like a new chapter within yourself that you're working on. This will definitely be something that you care about. Because it's cups, it can be anything mystical, anything energetic, intuitive. There can be healing involved. For some of you, healing modalities that are involved in this. It can also be something that you're emotionally involved in. For example, this can be you collaborating with somebody working on a connection between the two of you, or it can be working on something that connects the two of you. So it can be something that, or it doesn't just have to be two people, it can be more than that. You and whoever else is involved. Having Ace of Cups here shows that there's something mutually that you guys are caring about. So if you and this person are both taking care of the Ace of Cups, it means both of you guys are tending to this thing. And this does feel like a new chapter that's going to be opening because we have the Ace of Cups, so you don't really know. There's a lot of potential here, and you're going to be exploring that potential and working together and figuring out if we water it like this, or if we show up for it like that, or if we both put our energy into it. You're going to be able to see what happens then. I am seeing Ten of Cups on the bottom of the deck, so this appears like something that you would feel very, very happy with. It feels like it's in alignment with your core values, especially when it comes to stuff that you care about and things that matter to you. This can even bring a sense of like peace, safety, connection within your life. Okay, as this new chapter is opening, what this can mean too is that it can indicate potentially that if you have something that's in high resonance and there's a lot of potential, if there's anything that you've been upkeeping right now that you're taking a look at and you feel like, well, I have this thing going on and I do want to be there and I do want to be participating in that. If you have other things that you feel like you've been looking for more than just what's available there, it can be a time where you potentially sort of start like weaning yourself away from those things or even cutting those things off. But because you have something that is like the new energy coming through, and also too, Eight of Cups doesn't mean that you have something that you love and something new comes along and you're like, well, I'm gonna leave this because there's just something new here. This is more so like this is a new period in your life that's happening, and Ace of Cups is going to feel like something profound on an internal level for you. And there can also be external things that are happening because we start off with the Three of Pentacles. So this can be something where like your resources have to go into it. It can be your time, it can be your energy that goes into it. And also too, you'll feel like I'm growing within myself based off of this work that I'm doing, or based off of this like growing that I'm doing, or this working together that I'm doing. And you can feel like something, like you are building fulfillment within your life. Like this is something that will sprout that within your life. Eight of Cups will be something that feels like there's not really anything to come from it. It's like a plant that isn't going to flower any longer, and it used to, but now you have something that is going to flower. And so as much as there can be even an attachment to that thing of like, oh, my good times that I had with that, and it was so beautiful when it flowered, if you have anything in your life that feels like there's not really potential for that to be growing anymore, it can be a time, I'm hearing the word eradicated, it can just be a time where you look at those things and you ask yourself, is that still a priority to me? Am I just attached to it out of routine, habit, sentiment, nostalgia? Or am I looking at this and feeling like it is something that I want to keep around? And so there can be a whole evaluation process of that. And this feels too like having cups here, having Ace of Cups over there. This can be asking yourself, like, what is a very good use of your time right now? What is a good use of your energy? What is a good use of, like where you're investing yourself within your life, and also what becomes illuminated through that for you? Like, are you putting your energy into things that you feel like there's not really a resonance there anymore, there's not really a connection there anymore, and you've just been doing it because that's just been the thing? Now you have this new thing coming in saying like you can move some things over if you want to do that. It all is an option for you. But yeah, this can give you some insight if you've had anything or things that have been going on right now that you look at and you feel like, as much as I did have happy times there, or that was something that worked for me in the past, now that I'm looking for it, I do feel like that well has run dry. And so it can be a time of transition. It will be a time of things opening up where there's a lot of potential and room for growth. And also too, it can mean that there is a shifting away that happens from stuff that you feel like is no longer in it's no longer registering with you where you are. If that be the case, so an entrance can be informing an exit for you. This can have to do too with relationships in general, of what's worth it to you to be putting your energy into and your love into, and what's worth it to you to be sort of on your mind. Okay. So this is happening over here with Three of Pentacles and Ace of Cups. What I'm seeing sort of on the flip side of things, to have Eight of Cups and to also have Five of Cups, there can be, Eight of Cups can be this feeling of like, this isn't really working for me anymore, or it's not in resonance with me anymore. And Five of Cups can be that feeling of, wow, I'm not going to be doing this anymore, or wow, I'm going to be doing this, and so that's going to change my relationship with this now. Eight of Cups can be that transition that's made. Five of Cups can be sort of adjusting to that, of if I have this thing going on that I feel like is really worth it to me to be putting my time and my energy and my love into, then that means that in looking at this thing that isn't quite enough anymore for me, or I just know that this other thing is better for me, that means that I'm going to be transitioning out of that. And Five of Cups can be this, Five of Cups can be actually like having a hard time with this. I think too that when you zoom out, Eight of Cups means like, oh, there's nothing for me here anymore, so I keep going. But that part of us that can be very attached of like, I had an expectation that this would be going on for 3 more years, or I didn't think that this would be over so soon, or like whatever it was that you had as far as what you were seeing when you looked at that Eight of Cups, there can be a part of you that's having a hard time letting go. So even from a rational standpoint, you can look at this and know like, I don't really belong here anymore. At the same time, there can be a part of you that's like, but I did belong there once, or like, I wish that that wasn't the case. And so this can be a whole coming to terms. I'm gonna get more insight. Why is the Five of Cups here? Like, why is there this looking back? Maybe it's just adjusting to perceived loss of something. Five of Cups can even be a grieving. Like, I know that this is the right move for me and this is still difficult for me to be doing. Let me clarify Five of Cups. Or if it's just going through the heavy emotions. This can be difficult because it's tiring. You can feel like it takes a lot from you. It takes a lot of you. Okay, something else that I'm seeing too, why this can be difficult. You can know that something isn't working for you, okay? Or you can know that it's not what you need, it's not enough for you. And so Eight of Cups is that part of you that knows that you're seeking. And so this Three of Pentacles and this Ace of Cups, that can be something really fantastic because it means that like your seeking is over. There's something here that you can really participate in that will matter to you, and so you found the thing. But when you find the thing that you were looking for with the Eight of Cups, it means that you're gonna have to make that transition over to the next thing. That's how it looks like in this scenario anyway. What I'm seeing also be difficult, I'm seeing that with Five of Cups, which is that part of you that can be having a difficult time coming to terms with this, just struggling a little bit, you know, there's an adjustment that's being made emotionally, especially your feelings about this. What I'm seeing clarify Five of Cups is Nine of Wands, but on this Nine of Wands card, there's this person that's doing something that is difficult for them. And on this Nine of Wands card, there's like this little being that is, it feels like holding on to this other person. And so there may be like someone, I mean, this can be you, but it can also be another person. There may be somebody that doesn't want to see you leave. Even though something isn't working for you anymore, or you know you have to, like Nine of Wands is this, like, this is what I have to be doing here, and this is challenging for me. And what it feels like is that you may have some type of energy or energetic attachment or a person around that's like wanting you to stay within something, and that can be part of what's making this difficult. So you can know for yourself, like, this is what I need to do, and at the same time, because this is something that you have invested your energy into, there can be like a sense of attachment and connection there, where even though you know what needs to be done here, that sense of like somebody wanting you to stay there or something wanting you to be around can make it difficult for you to do that. This can be a like, hey, we want you here, like, hey, you're needed here, even though you know, like, this is where I gotta go right now. And that can be, it feels like that's what can be, like, there can be a lot of feeling. You know what this even reminds me of? Like say you're leaving a job and you're going somewhere that you feel like, I'm so excited to explore this, but then you're also like friends with your coworkers, and it can be really difficult to make that transition because you know, like, on a personal level, on an individual level, this is the best thing for you to be doing, and you know that. There's not a question about that. But at the same time, there can be a part of you that's like, wow, I'm gonna have to make this transition, and that means that like there can still be that feeling of loss within that. So even though you can know like I'm gonna be making friends with like these coworkers, or there's potential for me to make connections in a new position and like to whatever you are when you're transitioning, at the same time it doesn't mean that those people aren't your friends anymore, that you don't still care about those coworkers. It can be a group of people for some of you, but it's something where it feels like within this Nine of Wands, the challenge is you knowing what you have to do and having other energies that are kind of like pulling on you a little bit. Like, can't you just stay right here, even though you know within your heart, like, I'm not meant to be here anymore? That's what it feels like. That's mainly where this heaviness is coming from. So it can just feel like a lot of energy that you're being inundated by. So you're not only just carrying your own stuff, it can feel like you're potentially carrying the energies, the hope streams, desires, the wants of the people around you. And you still have to sort of do what you feel like you need to do here. When you break this down and you reflect on it and understand, it feels like it takes it from being something heavy and also kind of painful to then coming to a place of understanding within yourself. I see this as being a good thing because, like, for those of you that you really identify with that energy of sort of knowing what you need to do and maybe having people that maybe you even see like these people rely on me or depend on me, or we worked so well together, or yeah, this is reminding me so strongly of this feeling of like people will never not need you. And so it feels like you're going into this deep psychological space of breaking this down and of this sort of individuation that's happening from something that there was once a sense of like belonging and tightness. And I'm not saying that that's like going away completely, but you may be like spreading your wings a bit here with the Ace of Cups, because there's going to be Three of Pentacles and Ace of Cups feels like I'm working on this now. You know, it can even be an attachment of like you've been working on a project with a certain group of people, just an example, and now there's like another project coming up, and that's where you're going to be putting your energy. But it does feel like, even though I'm seeing a practical side of this, yes, and we are starting off with Pentacles, which shows like things that you're physically doing within your life, all the rest of the energy so far are Cups energy. And so this speaks about emotional attachment. It speaks about psychological attachment, and also like your psychological workspace that you're working within, and how you relate to things and people emotionally, and also how you show up. And for some of you too, if you're identified with this, with a role that you play where you may find yourself in dynamics where there is a need for you or like a pulling on you, this can be a time where those things are being challenged. Because you can look, like with that Nine of Wands card, it felt like looking at another being that maybe you perceive as being vulnerable in some way, and being like sweating a little bit, like, should I stay here and take care of this or take care of them, or do I need to honor myself here? And it feels like finding that balance between what's best for you and maybe what's best collectively even. What is beautiful as well is that when you get to a pure enough space within both of those perspectives and energies, they will always align with one another. So there will never be this is the best thing for me, but it's not for you. When you get into a place that's pure enough, the best thing for you will also be the best thing for everybody. And those things will align, they will not clash. And if you're in a position where they're clashing, it's because the energy that's being worked with, the perspective, the connection, like it's not elevated enough, like it hasn't gotten to that place of purification yet. So that is maybe also something that's being reflected on and discovered too. You know, too, that this is reminding me of the book by Ram Dass that's called How Can I Help? And it's about when we're in a position where there can be some type of like somebody that's perceived as needing help and somebody that perceives themselves as being the helper, how it can like create this dynamic where there's this imbalance where rather than seeing it as like two empowered beings sort of having this process with one another, it's seen as like, oh, you need me and I have to stay here and do this and then like martyr myself because of it, but then it feeds my ego because you need me. And it feels like a process like that can also be working out too, where there can be, I mean, I feel like this is a little bit going out there to say it, but it can be like a little bit of an inflated sense of self or an inflated sense of ego, which all of us can have, myself included, right? I'm not talking to the exclusion of anybody here. It can be something where like it can feel nice to be needed because we can have our self-worth be tied to that and feel like I have something to offer here. And at the same time, when it starts conflicting with what we feel like is the right path for us, it can be a time to go in there and really check that. And you can really be breaking that down and seeing like what your priorities are. And also too, if there's anything that's going on, you can be sort of setting that right, especially when it comes to like psychosocial roles that you play. What you look like to yourself, and also how you feel it's appropriate for you to be showing up for others, and also how you're perceiving others too. So there can be like some type of, for some of you, if it's at a more, depending on where it is on the scale, for some of you this can even be like a little bit of a savior complex too. That's part of this. And where you'll know like where that line is and where it starts crossing over into something that can be corrected or something that can be purified is when you feel this conflict of, this isn't a right fit for me anymore, or I feel that seeking within me, that I'm feeling like something isn't complete or something isn't fulfilled or something isn't in alignment because I'm meant to keep looking for something, or I have this thing that I've been looking for and now I should be transitioning over, and something is pulling you back from doing that. So that can be really where you find the line. Because like in holding yourself back, you can be holding others back as well. Yeah, Seven of Swords, Ten of Cups, I feel like that describes exactly what I just said. It's like how we can get into that place with ourselves where there can be a place that needs light brought to it, that needs awareness brought to it, where there hadn't been an awareness, because some, like, you know, you could just leave it at face value and be like, oh, I'm needed here, so this is where I have to stay, even though, like, you know, you're still looking and you don't feel fulfilled, and you're like going into a fantasy space of, if only I could be like an adventurer doing this or doing that, you know, and that feels so glorious and luscious to you. And then you look at that in comparison to what's going on within your life, and there's this like self-denial there with the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords and Ten of Cups is like this self-deception about what really is fulfillment and happiness to you. And if you're in that place where there is some, I'm just going to keep going on to the theme of what we've already been talking about, even though it can be like a different type of mental stuff that you're working with here. But let's just go with this whole like savior complex thing, or like I'm needed here and I'm supposed to be helping, even though I feel like something else is calling to me. Having Seven of Swords here, this can be like what we don't actually understand, what's in the dark, what's in the shadow about our Ten of Cups. So the things that are going on psychologically for us that actually take away from this awareness of where we'd actually feel happy, what we'd actually feel happy with, and what's actually in alignment. So this can be like me convincing myself that staying where I need is really like what I'm supposed to be doing here, and making this sacrifice and being a martyr here. That is the way that the universe expects me to do things. And You can be realizing some type of complex that you have with that, because the universe is not asking you to do that, but you may be like, the universe is asking me to do that. Or there can even be a checking in of your beliefs, you know, your belief systems. Like, why would I be being asked to do that? Why would that be my interpretation, that I should be staying somewhere that doesn't really feel right for me anymore, and it's stopping me from going elsewhere? But there can be this like defense mechanism that sort of keeps us held back, because exploring can be scary and there's risk within that. And ultimately this can reinforce this. I'm just going to convince myself that I'm happy here. And the whole time you're like cheating yourself out of your pursuit of happiness. And when I say pursuit of happiness, I don't just mean on a superficial level you being happy. I mean on a deeper level of what is truly in resonance with me. What do I feel joy within when I connect with, and being in that place of truth within yourself. So this can be a lot of, am I doing something that's sabotaging my pursuit of happiness, but reinforcing it psychologically, where there's something really twisted going on here, where I've convinced myself that this is the way that I should do things, and that's like not really the case. And you can be, I'm not open to expanding here, or I'm not open to learning or being cooperative with the energy and the changes and the exploring of potential. You can see where your head gets in your own way, where it's like, maybe that's not the right way to go. Maybe I shouldn't explore. And it's like very fear-based, actually. Like, what are they going to do without me? I can't leave. Like, how are they going to survive? And it comes back to what you're working with, essentially, and it can be broken down further and it can be analyzed. And anything that is the Seven of Swords can be converted to the Sun. It can be converted to the Ace of Swords, where there's an awareness where we're seeing, oh, I actually hadn't been as open as I thought I was. I wasn't being as cooperative with. This feels like an emotional part of yourself. It feels like a feeling part of yourself. It feels like your moon is involved in this. And it can be some type of realization where there's been I've been cutting myself off from this, or there's been some self-denial, and my heart is saying one thing and then my head is working out something else, and then they're in this different space. It feels like an opposition of some sort, where now, because this opposition is happening, you can be making a connection that you weren't making before. Because as much as an opposition, like astrologically speaking, can feel like a back and forth energy, the beauty of an opposition too is that it is a connecting line on two very different sides of the same scale, because there's this like common line. And so you can see like the severity of some type of scale here within an opposition. And it feels like something that's been going on like mentally, psychologically, and as it relates to what's happening emotionally, and then the decisions that you make based off of that. Three of Pentacles and Ten of Cups is feeling like there's somewhere within your life that you want to be active, and a part of yourself that you want to be working with, and a part of life that's coming through that you can welcome and immerse yourself within, and that you have that opportunity. Seven of Swords and Ace of Cups is that part of you that's will see a fantastic opportunity and sabotage it, because not wanting to deal with what's going on psychologically for you that's keeping you from exploring beyond this. Again, like say you have a prime opportunity and it's actually in total and complete alignment, but then there's this part of you that's like, well, if I leave here, what are all of these people going to do without me? It can be in any area of your life. And I'm talking, when I say what are these people going to do without me, I'm talking about like adults here, okay? Just to sort of simplify this a bit. So it can be something like a company, okay? What are these people going to do without me? Or just like a place that you've been being. It can be a club that you've been in, whatever it is. What are these people going to do without me? I must have to stay. And then it's like you wash away that opportunity as well. You just like let it go. And then you're like, I feel like something's missing, or like, why do I not feel happy, or why am I starting to feel such a lack of motivation, or I don't feel connected with my life. And it's because of this thing that goes on, where you have an Ace of Cups here. Like, why wouldn't you go for that? And all of the like psychobabble that sort of takes you backwards, that actually closes you off. But you can convince yourself, no, this is the better thing for me. I'm supposed to be here, and it's not. And it can be a time where you're really addressing that. Like, why would I convince myself of that? Why would I convince myself to not go for the opportunity that my heart is saying, hey, this is what we've been looking for. We've been like waiting for this to happen, and now it's here. Why would you slam the door on that? And so, yeah, you can really be like getting into a place where the Seven of Swords is stuff that you may not have been aware of before. Because Seven of Swords, if you bring your energy of analysis to it, you can get to the bottom of it. But if you're not checking in about it, and you just want to go surface level with it, it can be something that you remain very unaware of in a conscious way. But as soon as you bring your flashlight, you bring your awareness to that, and you look at it, you'll see what's going on. It's nothing that you can't see. That is the beauty of the Seven of Swords, is that you can transmute that energy through awareness and analysis, but it's going to take you making the effort to do so in order to understand. And I do think that this is also something that is a coping strategy for sure of the ego. Yes, it's not of your higher self, it's not of your soul. This is very much of your ego. But what it means is that it can keep you from feeling the changing of seasons, the changing of life. It can keep you very stuck, but there can be this feeling of your ego being like, it's safe here because I'm familiar with this, even though it doesn't feel like it's really the place for you to be any longer. Simultaneously, there can be safety for the ego in what we see as being known, rather than going into the unknown potential of something that actually looks like what you've been looking for. But the ego is like, never mind, like, let me tell you all of this stuff that's telling you how this is wrong, how this isn't going to work, how you actually need to stay right here. And then it actually keeps you from feeling that sense of like happiness within your life, or this is how things are supposed to be, or a sense of peace, or that sense of joy in like a more pervasive type of way. That doesn't mean that you can't stay somewhere where you don't really belong anymore and be like not happy sometimes. You can definitely tap into that at times. What it means too is that it's going to be less concrete. And so that epitome of what the Ten of Cups means for you, you may not really reach that by staying. And so that's why making this transition is so important, if you want to do that. But it's all your choice at the end of the day, because your guides are not being like, you should do this or you should do that. Like, that is not the voice of this reason telling you that you should stay somewhere or go somewhere. This is more so telling you what's going on. This isn't to tell you what to do, it's to make you aware of everything that's happening so you can make an informed choice then. Because we are so beyond the realm of this is right for you and this is wrong for you. We can say things like, this would be more in resonance with you and maybe where you want to be within your life, versus this is something that you're not really going to feel that sense of satisfaction and fulfillment within, because this is something that's meant to be retired within your life. Just like if you have a dead plant and you keep watering it, it's not going to grow. It's just like the fact of how that is. But it's not wrong if you keep doing that. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. There's no like wrong or right in that sense. But you can feel like you'll feel more of a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment with putting water on a plant that is actually going to be able to receive that and then grow because of that. And that's basically what you're doing within your heart space, within your life. And you have that option. Do I want to keep watering something that's not really receptive I want to keep putting my care, my love, and my energy into something that's not really in resonance with where I am and what I have to offer now, versus something that's more of an energetic match for you at this point. And it will be something that you feel very happy with. The Ten of Cups is here. That's saying, like, this is a real deal for you. This is something that's a very right fit for you currently. It's like, it's an energetic match for you. It's in resonance with you. And very compatible for what you're ready for now. Having the Hierophant on the bottom of the deck, there can be themes coming up that have to do with your values. There can be themes coming up having to do with your relationships, having to do with your self-worth, having to do with your sense of security, having to do with your belief systems. Okay, so this Eight of Cups, it feels like Two of Wands wanted to come out. It does feel like there is a plan that is beginning to be devised, but you may still be figuring out what exactly that's going to mean then. I think, too, coming to terms with this part of you that if you thought that you were going to be somewhere for 20 years and it's only been 3 years that you've been there, there can be a part of you that has to sort of match your expectations or align your expectations with what's actually going on, the reality of what's going on. Because you make expectations, you create expectations with these other expectations that are, I plan to stay here 20 years because I thought I would be happy here for 20 years, or there would be stuff for me to be doing here 20 years. But it's like 3 years in and you feel like there feels like there's a sense of completion here, and so you have to sort of realign expectation with reality and sort of tweak those conditions that created that expectation in the first place so you can see how it really is. But that, what my expectation was versus what's actually happening, can be the thing that's like not allowing you to see the bigger picture. King of Pentacles, some of you, this is definitely, yeah, we have Ace of Swords on the bottom of the deck. I feel like this is very just clear, the entire reading. Having Ten of Cups, King of Pentacles just fell under it. What role do you want to step into that you're going to be happy doing? What is your sense of purpose? What do you want to be doing with your life? What's something that you can be showing up for every day and be like, wow, I'm so happy to be doing this. It feels like how that used to feel to me, and now this is like the new phase or the new chapter of what that thing is for me now. So I am seeing you moving forward now. Feels like you got the psychological stuff out of the way, meaning you broke it down and are understanding it, which now frees the path. It's like when you're stuck here, you can't feel into here. And so now this has been cleared, your throat chakra has been cleared, and you sit into the heart space. And that part of you that you want to show up caring about what you're doing, it's like they're linked back, they're connected again. And now Six of Swords feels like now we can move forward. And where are you moving forward to? The Empress. And this feels like you are stepping into a position where you're really going to be able to shine, because this is about you being somewhere where what you have to offer, the environment is going to be receptive of that. Currently, what you have to offer currently, the environment will be receptive to that. And this means too that if you've been, it puts you into a place where you feel inspired, where you feel like endless imagination and creativity and love and participation and presence. some of you, this has to do with your Venus. Moon can be involved, Venus can be involved, because Venus is the only major arcana here. So yeah, there can be something going on with Venus that's... What you're stepping into is going to feel like you put the right key into the correct hole and then you open the door, and what's behind it is something that feels like it fits like a glove. The way that this door that's opening for you, when you go through it, you know those feelings when a situation is just exactly right and you feel like there's not that turmoil, there's not that conflict. Like you enter into that room and just everything feels like it's vibing correctly, and there's that sense of vibrance and of harmony, and just like all of the pieces fitting together. That's what you're stepping into. That's what this will feel like. And I think that the part of you that has a hard time coming to terms with making transitions, that's a part of you that you're working with through this process, and it's worth it because this is what you're stepping into. And the Empress too is going to be you being somewhere that is very receptive to what you have to offer, and not when you're putting on a show. This is like what you authentically have to offer, and there's a receptivity for that. So this isn't just like I'm showing up and doing what they want. This is like when I'm just naturally giving what I have to offer, or I'm just naturally showing up or being creative or being myself. This is the place where that is received. And then Ace of Swords feels like the breakthrough that is associated with that. And it feels like it's going to help you come to terms, because you will see that like this really is where you can feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. Even though I do see for some of you like really having a difficult time with making transitions, but because of stuff that's all associated with the past and can be associated with fear, rather than what's going on presently and where am I supposed to go moving forward. So this feels like something that's being rectified, because you can make decisions that are associated with with fear and with past and looking back on things, or you can sort of be present within your life and keep moving along your journey. And it feels like this is that moment of there can be a staying or even a receding that's happening, or there can be a breaking new ground and moving forward, and you have the options here. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.